What's up guys, my name is Orain, and in this video we're going to be talking about Apple's next iPhone, and it's not the one that you're thinking about. It's not going to be the iPhone 12. This one's actually going to be a budget iPhone releasing fairly shortly called the iPhone SE, SE2 or SE 2020, however you want to put it. But this is going to be in the vein of Apple's budget iPhone brand going forward. We're going to give you a lot of information about the phone, what you can expect spec-wise, who the phone is actually for. Also, you can make a better buying decision with the money that you have and see if the phone is right for you, because it's actually coming out pretty soon. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. So one of the first things we actually want to talk about is the name of the phone itself. Like I was saying at the beginning of the video, it's going to be the iPhone SE. According to some leaks that Mac Rumors has actually found, it's either going to be the iPhone SE or the iPhone SE 2020, but I believe the 2020 thing is just for their stock information. For their marketing information, you're probably just going to see the iPhone SE name on it. And it makes sense because the SE is such a popular name. It's a familiar name. A lot of people know the older iPhone SE is a popular phone, so it makes sense that Apple's just going to go with that same naming convention with this new phone updated for 2020. Now, inevitably, whenever this phone is mentioned, one of the biggest questions that most people have is how's it going to stack up against the phones that are either currently already out by Apple or the ones that are going to be released fairly soon by Apple. I mean, the iPhone 12 is actually right around the corner, but then you have the iPhone 11, you have the XR that came out 2 years back. How does this phone kind of fit into that Apple ecosystem? How does it perform? What kind of chipset, what kind of performance processor is going to be inside this thing? I know it's going to be a budget iPhone, but how does it really stack up against the iPhones that are currently available? Now, luckily enough, we do have some more information on what's going to be in the internals of this phone, and it actually looks like it's going to stack up pretty well. So the iPhone SE is actually reported to feature an A13 chip with 3 gigs of RAM, and that's going to be actually 50% more than the 2 gigs that was in the iPhone 8, which is what this phone is really modeled after. It's going to have an IP67 water and dust resistance rating, 4G LTE support, so you're not looking at any kind of 5G technology on this phone, which actually makes sense because, again, it's a budget phone. They want to keep the cost down as much as possible. And when we go through this list of different features and options, just keep that in mind that some of the decisions that Apple's made with this phone is all in the vein of making sure that they keep the cost of the phone down. They want to make sure that it's in that budget phone realm, and adding some of these bells and whistles to it, but actually raise the price up above that realm and adding 5G to it, even though 5G is the next thing. One, it's not readily available yet, so it doesn't really make sense. And two, it would bump the price up of this phone just way too high for it to be considered a budget device. You're also probably not going to get a headphone jack with this, and that shouldn't really surprise anything. Apple's killed the headphone jack off a couple of years ago, so there's no real reason or no real incentive for them to resurrect it with this phone. It would just open a can of worms for them to put the headphone jack back on this phone and not have it on their next phone or any phones following. They're just going to keep the headphone jack completely killed, so you're not going to have any kind of headphone jack connection on this phone, unfortunately. And for storage wise, you're also looking at probably about 3 variants, which is going to be a 64 gigabyte variant, a 128 gigabyte variant, and a 256 gigabyte variant. And that also should be extremely familiar for anyone purchasing an iPhone. I think, having those 3 storage options and choices for this particular iPhone is a good idea. But again, it's going to bump the price up. So it all really hinges on that starting price. If that starting price is well in the budget realm, then you're looking at not being bumped up too much if you decide to go for more memory. I guess the give and take of doing a budget phone is you want to make sure that you're still offering different memory options, but if somebody decides to go for a larger memory option, it doesn't take them completely out of the budget price range. And Apple's kind of, gearing that with these 3 different variants. Only time will tell, really. Now, camera-wise, they're saying that it's a possibility that you're going to get one of these 2 cameras. You're either going to get a 12 megapixel 1.8 aperture wide angle camera, and that's basically the same spec that you would see in the iPhone 8, or you're going to get a 12 megapixel 2.4 aperture ultra wide camera. Now, I believe they're going to go with the wide camera. I don't think we're going to get an ultra wide camera in this particular variant of the phone, again, because it's a budget phone, and I think that they just just want to keep it in that realm of being the budget phone. I don't think they want to mess with putting an ultra wide camera in this particular device. One of the two is definitely going to be there, but I think the camera itself is going to be serviceable. I mean, you see phones that came out like the iPhone XR had the one camera and it was a serviceable camera. It wasn't a bad camera. It wasn't a great camera. It was something right in the middle, and I'm expecting that this camera is going to be fairly similar as well. It's probably going to be the best camera you see on a budget phone this year because Apple does cameras really well. They never kind of let you down on giving you the ability to take some clear, crisp, cool pictures. And even though you're going to get that budget camera, you're still going to have a lot of great features that kind of come baked in with any Apple iPhone camera that's out on the market right now. So you're probably going to be looking at things like portrait mode, portrait lighting, night mode, smart HDR. And considering that this is going to be running the latest iOS 13 point whatever it's going to be at the time that this phone is released, you're going to have access to the deep fusion technology that Apple debuted a couple of months ago. And that just basically adds more detail, more intricacies into the pictures that you're taking. So coupled with the hardware that's in this phone and the software that's going to be there, I think it's going to take some really amazing pictures at a really low price point. Now, if we're talking design wise, if you've seen an iPhone 8, you're probably going to know exactly what this phone looks like. I don't think there's going to be a big departure from what the iPhone 8 looked like when you come to this. There may be some slight tweaks and some slight changes, maybe a little bit thicker, maybe a little bit heavier or a little bit boxier. I think it's going to look very similar to what you got with the iPhone 8 with this new iPhone SE, including that Touch ID home button. Yes, it's not going to be a full screen phone like you've seen with the normal Apple phones that are coming out nowadays. This one's actually going to be very reminiscent of that iPhone 8 with the Touch ID embedded. So Touch ID is making a return to the iPhone 8, which is amazing because a lot of people have been asking for Touch ID back on the new iPhone. This will be the first time since 2017 that Touch ID has made its appearance on an iPhone being released to date. Now you're also looking at the same Retina HD display as the iPhone 8, which is a 4.7 inch display, 1334 by 720, and it's going to be an LCD display. And no, it's not an OLED. Again, remember, keep it in mind as we go down this list, it's all to keep the price low. Apple saying that an LCD screen is definitely going to have them hit that lower price point. And you know, they do good work with LCD screens if you consider what the iPhone XR was, and we actually just did a revisit of the iPhone XR. I'll go ahead and link that in the description and the card up above. But we talked about the LCD display when it first was debuted. A lot of people had so much issues that the LCD display was going to be the killer of this phone. This phone ended up selling really well despite the LCD display. One of the things I always say is if you're coming from a higher level of a display, you may notice the difference, but the more media you consume and the more you use it, your eyes will adapt to that LCD display, and Apple does a good job of tuning their phones to make sure it gives you the best picture possible, even just using an LCD display. So I don't see this as a big problem. I see that if you consume media on it over time, your eyes will eventually just kind of get used to the LCD display. Sure, if you put it next to a phone that has like an OLED with the top-notch display, you're going to see the difference. But if you're just consuming media on your device alone, you're probably not. You're probably just going to enjoy it as you would normally enjoy it on any other phone. Now, they're also saying that you're just going to get the standard haptic touch. No 3D touch, unfortunately, on this phone either. And there's even rumors that there may be a 5.5 inch plus variant, but there isn't enough information about that yet. There hasn't been any kind of case leaks saying that there's going to be a plus variant. So right now, everybody's just kind of operating on the assumption that it's the one variant of this phone. Maybe Apple has like a little surprise planned when they do release it. You never know. I guess we'll just have to wait and see to find out. Now, the other big thing we have to talk about, of course, is the price point and the release date. So it's looking like the price point is going to be somewhere between $349 to $399. And if they're able to hit that $349 mark, this is going to be the perfect phone. It's going to sell like hotcakes. Mark my words, if they're able to release an iPhone with Touch ID and iOS 13 point whatever that's coming out with the nice camera and the deep fusion at $350, it's gonna sell like hotcakes. So Apple, I know, is probably working their asses off to hit that $350 mark. Even if it's at $399, I still do think it's gonna sell extremely well. I think one of Apple's top selling phones of the year, maybe into 2 years, depending on if they release another variant next year. But I think that $350 mark is the perfect price point for a budget iPhone. I think people would jump at the ability to have an iPhone experience without breaking the bank. And then you're going to see how Apple kind of tier it, because they'll have their budget mid-range with their iPhone 12, and then they'll have their higher range with their iPhone 12 Pro. This is going to fall perfectly for everyone who wants an iPhone experience but can't afford the $1,000 phone or can't afford the $700 phone. This $350 price point works perfectly. Release date is set actually for sometime this month, believe it or not. There are rumors saying that it's either going to be at the beginning or the end of this month, the very latest at the beginning of next month. They're probably going to do one of those covert drops similar to what you saw with the iPad Pro. Because of everything that's currently going on, it doesn't make sense to do any kind of press conference or anything like that. They'll release a YouTube video saying, here's the new iPhone SE, these are the features of it, and probably show some people using it. You'll probably see it making the rounds on the different YouTube channels. That seems like a really great release strategy for this phone. And I think, again, this target market of just being the budget conscious iPhone for the budget friendly buyer is a perfect sales pitch. This phone's going to do really well, and I can't wait to get my hands on it and see what I actually think about the physical device and get to play around with it a little bit so I can bring it all to you guys, of course. So with all that said, pass the question on to you. What do you guys think of this new iPhone SE? Are you excited about it? Was it on your radar before? And if not, does this new information on the specifications and what's included with the phone, does it now put it on your radar as a possible purchase sometime this year or in the future? Go ahead and comment in the comment section down below the video. While you're down there, go ahead and tap that like button if you enjoyed the video, with the subscribe button and that bell for notification so you don't miss when we release some cool, helpful content like this one. Until next time, guys, you can check out this video here. It's going to be some more information on the iPhone 12, and this is something YouTube believes you'll enjoy watching. Thanks again so much for checking out the video, and as always, stay safe and peace out.